Hello, thank you for coming to my channel and joining me today. Today I'm going to be talking about who am I and the introduction to this channel. So hello, thank you for joining me. Today this is an introduction to my channel. I'm going to be telling you more about myself and more about my channel. If you're interested in hearing about me, mostly this channel is actually going to be talking a lot about politics. And if you've looked at my first couple of videos, I'm going to be talking mostly about the Democrats. I'm going to be talking about quite a few different things. Overall, I just want to explain where I'm coming from. The official name of my the currently the unofficially official name of my channel, if that makes sense, is going to be a work in progress. So as you see, when you come to my channel, I'm always trying to improve in some way, whether it's figuring out something that I can improve in myself, whether it's something I can improve in someone else or in the general population. It doesn't really matter what it is. It's going to be a work in progress, and it's always going to be a work in progress. So anything I discuss here is not a solidified idea. It is rather the realization. It is rather the realization that an idea is always being expanded upon, and there's never a finalized idea. And that's the kind of world I believe we live in, and that's the kind of picture I want to express, is that yes, we can have a good idea in the moment, but we shouldn't ever stop there, because in my opinion, I think one of the biggest things that holds us back as a species is that someone comes up with a good idea and then we hold on to it and we stop there and we don't improve upon it, and we don't improve upon these better ideas, and we don't improve upon these good ideas. With that said, I think that should change. I have created this channel. It is mainly going to focus on politics. I'm probably not going to talk too much about anything else other than the current political field, because I feel this is the most important thing. I feel like politics currently is the most important factor that we should focus on, because I think this has the potential to cause the biggest changes in our lives most directly. And if we push this in the right direction, then we all go in the right direction and we all pull each other along, even the stragglers, even the non-believers. Okay, that was a little bit about my channel, where I want to go with it and what I want to do with it. And again, it's always going to be expanding. I'm going to eventually, I will stray away from this political field and I will talk about other things. I really like getting into philosophical talk and things that humans have to deal with, and situations, and just the idea. Like, I really want to get to the heart of what I want to do, is get to the heart of what it is to be a human and try to increase all of our humanity, whatever that is. So the question becomes, who am I? I am from the United States. I live in the United States. I'm sure some of you will find out eventually where I am from. It doesn't really matter. Honestly, I'm a United States citizen. I have had quite a few experiences in my life that I think are relevant, and I think that actually it's a perspective that needs to be put out there. So I'm actually going to see if I could put the perspective out there that I actually want to. Where I come from is, okay, I'm a musician. I'm a musician. I actually went to school for this purpose of becoming, well, to be honest, it's a little tough on how, see, I'm actually having a little bit of trouble of explaining where I come from, because I don't exactly know where to start. I think the best way to start is to explain that I was a college student. A couple of things about myself that I think are relevant is that I went to high school in a public, oh, actually I went to elementary school to high school in a public, in a public school system. I went to college. I went to a university. I actually went to a community college before. I've had a lot of setbacks in my life that, I'm still working through. I think we all, some more than others, have certain situations happen in ways, but either way, it's all relative to your own situation, and that's a true belief that I have. So I believe that overcoming your situation and whatever your obstacles are is your goal in life. I went to university to study music. I was originally going to become a music, well, I was originally going to become a music theory major, and I looked into that path and actually decided that it actually coincided with another major, which was music education. Except music education was a little bit easier, more like to actually obtain, and it seemed. And at the time, to be honest, I didn't have quite a vision of as to why I wanted to go to school. All I knew is that I happened to be good at music, and so this path eventually died out, and it really went nowhere. Actually, I burnt out pretty quickly. I got to a certain point to where I felt like it was all brainwashing and manipulation to set you to be a certain way and to get you to just see the world in a certain light that is, I don't know. I don't want to describe it any further than that. It's just it was a path that I ended up not wanting to go down, and so I didn't. And eventually, I ended up dropping out of college, and it was I had mixed feelings about it because I was at this point where I didn't even want to go to my classes. I felt like I wasn't retaining any information. I felt like I didn't see how it was going to play out in my overall life. And this was, and since I finished my college years now, this has actually been about 7.5, almost 8 years, about 7 to 8 years. So my experience in college was actually about 6 years long, about 6.5 years long, actually. And I didn't end up with a degree. I bounced around between places too much to end up with a degree. And ultimately, when I was down this path, I was just about a year away from deciding to stop and deciding that going any further actually was not worth it, and it was detrimental to my time at the time. And to this day, like it's no secret, but I'm one of the people that fell into some student debt, and it has, in a lot of ways, held me back, but it is what it is. But the point is, so this, after doing college for about 6 to 6.5 years of my life, I decided I needed another path. And at first, I wanted to get into just working because I hadn't worked a whole lot while I was in college. I did have a few part-time jobs, if anything, just enough to hold me by and get through college and my expenses, as books were expensive and living was expensive in general. And I got through this phase, and I eventually got to full-time work, and I would work actually in my area there were a lot of call center jobs available. So I'm one of those people that actually got to see a lot of what was happening inside the call center arena, and I got to work hand in hand with the development of it as it was taking off, as these companies were actually using more technology integrated into their systems, and actually saw the levels of it getting better and better. And I ended up going around from a couple different call centers at a couple different jobs to see, and ultimately I got that experience and I decided to leave it. So eventually I went down this path for a while, and I came to the realization that working an 8-hour day for a boss that controls your pay and basically says you have to do this, and if you don't do this, I'm going to pressure you enough to say, hey, if you don't do this, I'm going to fire you. And if you're fired, you're going to be looking for another job. And if you're going to be looking for another job, that's potentially being homeless or potentially starving or whatever. I realized something. I had this string of thoughts come through my head, and at the time, I was in very emotional states, maybe, and the order of events in which my thoughts happened may be a little bit different, but I came to this conclusion eventually that this is slavery, that we were tricked into slavery. That at first I blamed the dollar. I said the fact that the dollar was invented means that we are a slave to the dollar, and in a sense this is true, but I've thought about it since, and I realized something, that without having the dollar as this currency that we can exchange our goods for, we become something worse. We become slaves to the people that have the ability to do things, and the people that don't have this ability or that are not capable of doing the things that, and this is really generally speaking, but like if you do not know how to have any skills to cook and you don't know anyone to cook, you can't go say, hey, let me work for you so you can give me your food. They would be like, what? Huh? How about you do everything I say and then I feed you, as long as you do everything I say. See, like, it's the same thing. Like, the thing is, money kind of diffuses that a little bit, but in the environment we live in, I've realized that people have manipulated the currency system in such a way that people will not get anything unless you are working for someone. And because you have to work for someone, they get to dictate how you behave and how you act and how what you need to do and how many days you can work and how many days you cannot be there. And they basically control your thoughts 5 days a week, for 40 hours, which is basically the majority of your time. It's literally enslavement. And this thought loomed over me for a long time. And I eventually took a different path, and it's, just to say the least, up to this point, it has been a struggle. I've actually made a lot of tough decisions. And as you can see, based on my set, I don't have a whole lot of space to work with, but this is what I'm going off of. I've made some really careful decisions in the most recent years to get to this point, and I've decided this is the path that I want to take. So thank you for taking it with me. This is a little bit about myself. I didn't want to script this out, so I didn't actually have my first few videos. I don't want to have anything written down except for the topic that I want to talk about, and I'm going to make the cuts. I'm going to make basically edits where I feel like there's long pauses, or I take a long time to think about the next part that I want to say because I want to articulate it correctly. And even then I might not articulate things as correctly as I want to. So this is a work in progress, right? So again, thank you for joining my channel. If you are subscribing, I appreciate all the subscribers and all the views. And please like my video and share it around with anyone you know if you think they'll be interested in my channel. For the future, my next few videos are going to be regarding the upcoming Democratic primary elections, a couple of warnings that I think we need to really talk about regarding Donald Trump and Andrew Yang. Is obviously, if you haven't watched my previous video, I'm an Andrew Yang supporter. So yeah, we'll see where this goes. Thank you for watching. Have a good